Divine and royal greetings, family. Welcome to another episode of Tech Collective's Build Through Broadcast. Today's topic is food as fuel and energy. Why what we eat matters. Welcome back. I am Shayola Benta, Coach Shayola Benta, along with Coach Shantae Wilkerson and Coach LaRae Funderburg. We are in the house. So today, again, our topic is food as fuel and energy. Why what we eat matters. First of all, I would like to say we look fly, each and every one of us. There was no coordination, but we are here for all of the look. So I would just like to say that Coach Shantae has been on it as it relates to topics and things that we can discuss. So I will pass it over to you, Coach Shantae. Why did you choose this particular topic?
Well, Coach Shayola and Coach LaRae. Oh, and
Hey,
Coach Farasha. Hey,
Coach
girl. So today's
Greetings.
subject, hey. I chose it because I have been reading a lot. Um, One of my favorite things about where my life is right now is that I have the mental space and capacity and the desire to read and study every single day. So I'm always reading, studying, learning something. And this book right here is going to come up several more times over the course of life because it has so much amazing information in it. Like my mind was just expanding every time I turned the page because this really breaks down a lot of different subjects. And I'll just go through a couple of the chapters. The cause of disease, toxic overload. If it's not a whole food, it's a toxin. You have to be a scientist and nutritionist just to read food labels. The toxins accumulate. That's in one chapter. The protein myth, animal meat and organ damage. Americans eat too much meat. That's another chapter. Ditch the dairy. That's a chapter. The bitter truth about sugar. That's a chapter. You are what you eat. That's a chapter. So there's so much information that is packed into this book that will have you really thinking about what we have been taught to put into our bodies and how what we put into our bodies does have a tremendous impact on us on the cellular level. It's not just about this food tastes good, this is the way I was raised, this is the way so and so taught me how to cook this. We really have to get out of that mindset of thinking that food is just this thing that we eat so that we don't die. There's a lot of steps in between putting the food in your mouth and death. And what we put into our mouths has a huge impact on how soon and swiftly death will visit. So as we're preparing to move into the food season, we've got Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas coming up, New Year's coming up. These are all holidays where people gather around food. And I would definitely charge each and every person, no matter what your dietary preference is, if you're still standard American diet and you've got plans for, turkey and ham and all that kind of stuff, figure out a way to put something green on your table that does not have any flesh, no extra sugar, no nothing in it. And just try it out. Try it. Try it out with your family. Put something green out just to kind of help you on your journey because it is so necessary.
Well, hold on. Let me give you one of these.
Receive.
Right? Because all of what you said was just so like on it and on point. Before, if y'all don't mind, Coach Farasha, Coach LaRae, I would like to just add to that in that tomorrow here in Richmond, Virginia, we are celebrating planting good karma, a feast in finance. And that was really my motivation behind um, having this event, right? All of the holidays, are coming up, but there really are healthier alternatives to what we are accustomed to eating. And I just
Mm-hmm.
decided to share that with community so that they can say, oh, or see, taste, feel, remember, because what I'm noticing too, people may not necessarily remember me per se, but I have had at least 3 people say, I remember how your food made me feel, right? And that to me is golden. So I
Mm-hmm.
love the fact that one, you came up with this topic, and it's right around this time of year, this season. So shout out to you for coming through with that. I see that Coach Lorraine is on the screen. Coach Lorraine, do you have anything to add as it relates to um, food as your fuel, your energy? I know that you definitely have been blazing the trails with your own journey as it relates to food. And not to keep saying but how has it affected you? How are you feeling?
Well, overall, I would say I'm feeling great. I definitely notice the differences, especially I would say since I've been on my vegan lifestyle for a while. Really, when I notice the differences in how I feel is when I'm juicing or when I'm fasting. So I get a lot of, when I do extended juices, like 7-day juices, I get a lot of clarity. I start to, things start to come together for me a lot more. I feel like I manifest a lot quicker when I'm juicing. And I feel clean, and I'm more conscious of like the things in my body. I'm more aware of like when things are off, and I have an awareness of also what I need to do in order to like fix whatever is going on. So I'm a huge proponent of definitely food is medicine for sure. I haven't gotten into vegetation as education yet, but we have definitely been reading the African Holistic Health book, which
Yes.
is, ma'am, everything. I'm like, I've been telling people about it. I'm like, we haven't even gotten into it yet,
Mm-hmm.
but this book so far has just been like amazing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, even so, I'm having a little sickness right now, and it's because I was on vacation for like 5 days, and I was away from all of my things, and I was in Mexico, and apparently vegan is not a thing there yet. So there, I was like struggling to eat the entire time I was. They didn't even have any avocados, which I was like, "What is this? Who? How do you not have avocado?" I was like, "This is insane." But I when I say struggling to eat, and it was so funny because I was like, there must be a consensus about that, because everybody that I told I was there, they were like, well, what were you eating? And I'm like, oh, maybe it is a thing that vegans in Mexico don't mix. And so I was like, I remember one day I had to make a sandwich with like pickles, some carrots. Can you be quiet a little? Look, with some pickles, some carrots, I think some lettuce. I mean, I was on the struggle bus, but I'm like, I have to eat definitely for sure. But I really feel like that was what brought down my immunity level. I didn't have my green juice, I didn't have my herbs, I didn't have my supplements. And so I'm suffering from it now. So now I'm trying to get back on track for sure. And I know on this next leg, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be one of those people like, yeah, I'm bringing stuff over there because y'all don't have none for me when I get here, and I can't be down and out. But yeah, definitely. And I'll be quiet because there's noise in the background now.
We appreciate the family share. That's really, really real. I'm going to veggie back on something that you said, but before I do that, Coach Farasha, what do you say and feel as it relates to food as being fuel and energy?
Yes, I agree. I've been vegetarian for a very long time. Well, a vegan. Sorry, I was a vegetarian first. I'm vegan. And I feel as though ever since I've been on a journey, I feel more energized, more calm, and I, think more, things like that. So, but ever since, the same thing like Lorraine, like how she went on her trip and she haven't been feeling well. It's the same thing that happened to me. I traveled up north right now. That's where I'm at. I'm in my mom's room. This is the best lighting in here. So Yeah, ever since I traveled up north, me and the children got really sick, and I was just like, "What's happening? Like, I'm never sick." And only time I was ever sick is when I was pregnant, and that's when I was eating the most meat as well too. But up here, they don't have a lot of fruits with seeds. A lot of things changed because before, when I did live up here, we did have a lot of food with seeds and things like that. But then also the prices is like super high, like it's so high, so it's kind of a struggle like, right now. Yeah, so right now what I'm doing is eating a lot of like pre-made food. So I will go get like a veggie burger from the supermarket, and then on top of it, some of the like Asian restaurants, the Asian supermarkets have like the vegetables and things that we need. So I will go there and try to do something with that. But it's like a lot more cooking actually. I'm doing a lot more cooking. So, so I'm really big on being vegan, plant-based. I'm really big on that because it really helps, and it's cold as well over here. So I'm upping my tea, but even though I'm upping my tea, it's like I still feel like I need other things because then I'm like hungry and thirsty, more thirsty. So I'm just like, oh my God, where am I going? So it's just like it's different. So and then I'm very shocked that Coach Lorraine, she didn't have like I would think like, they have all the fruits and everything that you need. Like that's what I'm very shocked about.
Let me tell you, everything had meat in it, and I was like, "What is?" And that chicken, it was like pork. I'm like, "Why is pork such a huge thing out here? Pork and steak." So even they had vegetables. They had like huge vegetable spreads, and I'm like, "Yeah, let me get this." And they're like, "I'm like, what is this in here?" And they're like, "Oh, cerdo, pork." I'm like, "Why? Why would you disrespect the vegetables like this? Like." And what about for those of us who are not out here eating pig? Like it was just ridiculous. But there was some fruit, but the fruit wasn't cutting it. I needed some more substance,
Right.
for sure.
That's so yeah, I remember one time I was in Florida and I wasn't very versed on like Cuban life, and I didn't know that like pork is really a thing in Cuba. And I went to a restaurant and I was just like making sure. I had just started my journey and I was making sure like, what's in this? And oh, it's this and it's that. And the plate came and all of a sudden my mouth started to like itch, if you will. It was just this weird vibe. And then my nose started to itch. And I'm like, wait, what did you say is in here? So the waitress was like, oh, it's pork and da da da. And I'm like, wait, did you just say it's pork in here? And she says, yes. I said, but that was the reason why I asked you before I ordered it, just to make sure. So I'm all like, call the manager because this is. So the manager came over and I will never forget this. This man said to me, it's Cuban cuisine. What did you think? We put pork in everything. He said, this is why we have health insurance, and walked away.
Oh.
So I was just like, oh, okay.
And they do. It's like an expectation. They're like, why are you surprised that it's in there? It's part of the program. Like we put pork in everything. Like
word. But one of the things that you said that I wanted to veggie back on, as we continue on our journey, not only for our personal lives, but for our professional lives. In our reading, Built Through Book Club, there was a passage that really, really, really stuck out to me, especially as practitioners. And I just want to read this short part. It says, the African health practitioner had to first develop their own human detection sensitivity capacities by using Ma'at before they could treat diseased individuals. The healer used sight, music, touch, hearing, dance, smell, food, rituals, and ceremonies as diagnostics and healing instruments. So when you were saying like, just you got to listen to your body. And I think that as practitioners of health, African health, it is really important for us to be able to become human detectors for ourselves so that we'll know what tools to use to bring ourselves back into alignment, thus being able to help our clients, our students, and whoever may be seeking our assistance. So do you find, I see Coach Shantae shaking her head. What say you about that?
Most definitely. And just listening to Coach LaRae and listening to Coach Farasha, it brought up another subject that I'm going to have to put in the chat, which is food deserts. We've touched on it before, but I really think that that's something that deserves like a real deep thought out conversation, because you would think that there would be less food deserts than there actually are. To go to a resort in Mexico and not have appropriate 5-star resort in Mexico and not be able to eat, or to be, you know, up north in the United States and not be able to find quality produce is insanity. And I thought about too my own experience. Like, I talk about it like it's nothing, and then I sat still and I thought about it the other day. I live in Dothan, Alabama, and we don't have like a lot of really great places to shop for produce here. Even like farmers markets, they're seasonal. So in the winter months, then you're kind of just Publix, and if you want to take that route, Walmart. We've got a Target. We've got a Winn-Dixie. I think there's like 1 or 2 Winn-Dixies left. There's not like a whole lot of options for quality produce. And I say all the time, like, I'll drive down to Tallahassee, which is like an hour and a half one way, just to go grocery shopping. That's not a luxury that everybody can partake in. Not everybody can or even would think to themselves, the quality of this food is not the quality that I want to put in my body. Let me go somewhere where I know that they're going to have the quality of food that I want to put in my body and shop there. It really does set, or has set into my thought process, how truly blessed and fortunate I am to, number one, have this knowledge that there is a difference in the quality of the produce from one space to another, and that I even have the bandwidth to even desire to spend that additional money to make that trip and get those groceries and do those things, because it's not a common thing. But then when you look at, just the standard things that are readily available, there's always going to be some noodles. There's always going to be, some Spam. There's always going to be some Vienna sausages. There's always going to, all of those different little things that you hear people talk about, the struggle meals and all this other kind of stuff, the bread that has 15 ingredients, and you can sit it on the counter for like a year and it just starts getting hard and moldy around month 11. Like, we look at these things and this is what is available in mass for everybody to get. But this is why disease is so prevalent, is because the things that are easy for everyone to get are maximally, not minimally, but maximally processed food items. And that's what we get to put into our bodies. So when we put these things into our bodies, they get broken down into their cellular structures. And a lot of those cellular structures are not things that our bodies have been equipped by God to deal with. So we have this load of just toxic stuff just floating around in our bloodstream, sitting in our cells, causing all kinds of chaos and mayhem, because what we have available and what we have been given is totally different from what we actually need, and what we may have available to us might not even be in alignment with what we need, because, again, back to the food desert. So that's a conversation for a different time, but it just is really telling how the system and the structure of not just the United States, but the pervasive mindset of the United States has leached into other societies, in that, you can just ingest whatever and rely on a doctor to give you some magical pill that's going to make it all better. You don't actually need to put forth any effort to have, a positive relationship with food. Just eat what you've always eaten. Just eat what you've been told to consume, and you'll be okay. And people are not okay. They are dying for conditions and reasons that they don't have to. So it's insane. The more I read and study, the more I'm just like, wow. This is where we are.
We literally live in a society where they are trying to kill us every day by what we
every day.
And that's just it.
I mean, even down to the devitalization of the soil and the seeds, right? Someone sent me something where they were like, you have to eat like 6 oranges now to get the nutrients of one, so we are in a space and time where nobody really is safe, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or even if you are eating flesh foods. We are in a society where they really are striving to kill us. And I know some of the elders around me are just give me the pill, just let me do what I'm going to do. I've eaten this way my whole life. I'm okay. Let me just, or the disease becomes so acute that, a holistic approach may not even work because it's so, far gone,
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that you did say, Coach Shante, was the foods that we are eating are not equipped by God. And what I love about that statement is, sometimes in the plant-based community, we may get a little slack because people are like, well, you're killing the plants and, taking them in. It's the same thing. It really is not, right? Because the plants are of nature and we have similar DNA. So the molecular structure can recognize those things and use it as nourishment, do what it needs to do, and pass on by. Now, even if your culture is one that flesh foods is a part of it, you're not just callously taking in all of this flesh from animals that are diseased, that are tormented, that are living a life of complete disgust, and then you in turn take in all of that energy. That's a different type of vibration, but the body does not recognize the foods that are actually made in a plant. It doesn't recognize processed foods. So it sits in the body and then it turns into dis-ease. It turns into cellulite. It turns into other things because the body doesn't know what to do with it. Yet the plant, naturally grown, the body knows exactly what to do with it because it's like real recognizes real. So it's going to do what it needs to do. But I thought that was a very, very valid point. That certain things the body just does not recognize. And if it doesn't pass through once it's finished nourishing, it's just going to stick around. And the longer it sticks around, the easier it comes to break down your immunity, the easier it is for you to now become diseased. So, but what were you going to, I could see you like the wheels turning, Coach Shante. What were you going to add?
A bunch of different things, but this is what I wanted to really hone in on. There was a statement that you made that in regards to using holistic measures to heal after you have gotten really, really ill. So the thing about our bodies is what we eat that does not pass through an elimination system, whether it is the lymphatic system or the digestive system, whatever elimination system that particular toxin needs to be released through, if that system is overloaded with toxins, if we are not having full regular bowel movements and regularly cleansing the colon with some type of enema or colonic, there is a increased risk of us retaining unnecessary toxins within the body. So if you have a toxic load that you've been accumulating for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. We've got some of our elders who are in their 80s and 90s, and I didn't bring that book over here, who are extremely sick. And they don't feel like they can make any changes or do anything differently because of how far gone they are. But when you step back and look at the food that you're putting into your body, when you change just that part, when you make the commitment to stop eating meat, to cut out sugar, to do certain things, to cook more, or to prepare better options, to plan whatever it is that's going to help you get to that space where you change your food, that's going to have a tremendous impact. There's my next read is a book called Healthy at Last, and it is a book that's written by a former police officer who was mayor of, I can't remember what city or borough it was in New York that he was the mayor of, but he talked about how he went on his own journey of going plant-based because he had gotten diabetes, and everyone in his family had diabetes. It was so much of an accepted thing to the point where if you went to a family function and forgot your diabetes medicine, you would just ask, hey, who takes this particular prescription? And it's like 5 or 10 people that are like, oh, hey, I brought mine with me. And you can just bum a pill off of any family member because everybody's got this particular disease. So he said that his mother was 84 at the time. She had been diagnosed with diabetes. She had all kinds of health issues. And just simply by changing her diet, changing the food that she ate, he just started preparing meals and sending them over to her house. When she started to eat the meals and to give up the other things, her diabetes reversed. Mm-hmm. And she was no longer on that medication. She had been on that medication for decades. Mm-hmm. And just in the course of changing her diet, she was able to reverse some of the conditions. Now, I also add in, it's extremely important to remember that changing your diet is extremely important, but again, we have to look at our elimination system. So that's where the benefit of a detox comes in handy. But you want to make sure that you're detoxing with trained professionals, which is, where the Emerald Green Collective comes in, who can assist you with nourishing your body properly, observing any kind of fasting crises you may find yourself in, and helping you to navigate so that you can come out of the other side and receive the benefits of the detox and of the food. Because even when you change your diet, if your elimination systems are not working properly, you're not going to be able to properly absorb the nutrients in the food that you're eating. So it really is a process that does require a bit of education and a bit of guidance. So that's one of the biggest issues that we as the Emerald Green Collective are here to solve is there is a journey that has to be traveled, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of knowledge to traverse that path and really get to the other side healthy, because there is a lot less information about this particular lifestyle in the mainstream media than there is in, there's a lot less information about this lifestyle than there is about the other. And if you were to go and talk to your doctor, they would be hard pressed to give you any specific information on nutrition unless they themselves have made it a point to learn about nutrition and how to heal the body from an African perspective also. So, come on over here, click the link, schedule your consultation. There is a wealth of knowledge that exists in this collective. And it's extremely important that as you move forward and you are striving to change your life, that you have somebody that you can ask questions. Because once again, there's a lot less information available about this side of things than there is about the other.
And that we know to be true.
Ashe. Yeah, I was going to say, just a veggie back, I was going to say, because I remember the first time that I went vegan, like I was vegetarian, and I was just like, oh, let me get rid of, dairy. And, so it was like, oh, okay, but I didn't have the knowledge base, and it didn't last very long. I think I was only vegan for like a year and a half, and I was eating French fries like damn near every day because I was like trying to get full, I'm like, need something to stick to my ribs, French fries and bread. And like I said, it didn't last because I was very unhealthy even as a vegan. And then you see a lot of this now where there's this push, I want to say, to be vegan, but a very unhealthy vegan, you know, a
Yep.
very junk food vegan. Like you see that all the time. Like I don't want to name any places or things like that. I don't want to, you know, do any harm to what other people are doing out here. But a lot of the vegan spots that I now come across where I'm like, oh, yay, finally we have some spots. But I'm like, and we don't, because it's vegan junk food, you know, and I'm like, this is like the McDonald's of vegan. Like I can't eat here, you know, so the education piece of it is very, very important. And I think I had shared with you guys maybe on one of the last calls too, because I am anemic. So even now learning to, that's like another step of my elevation in my veganhood, like right now, is like really learning how to consume the foods that are going to help combat that, because that's a huge issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even in this lifestyle. So yeah, I just
Mhm.
wanted to veggie back on that piece of it.
Give thanks for that. Coach Farasha, any feedback from you? What say you?
Yes. So, just like what Lorraine was saying with the anemic, I suffer as well with anemia. So,
Mhm.
that's another thing about me being here in the cold.
Mhm.
I felt like that's why, like, my system was just not feeling like fighting back the way it's supposed to, because it's so cold here. And then not eating healthy, because at first when I came, I really was eating fries. I was eating all types of fries, and I'm just like, you know what? This is cheap. It's $2, two something. I'm gonna get these fries for me and the
Mhm.
children. And yeah, it did mess me up. So I'm just like, you know, I can't wait to go home so I could be in my comfort and cook what I have to cook and go where I have to go, like farmers market. Because luckily in Georgia, our farmers market is like all year round. So
Yeah.
thankfully, we have that. And then not only that, we do have a lot of like people selling things like outside. Sometimes, even though it's like it be cold but not that cold, but they still selling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know, that's all I have to say.
Now, let me ask you, do you
Hmm.
feel differently now? And super side note, molasses. Try to
Oh
replace
yeah,
any of your sugars with molasses. Now, I'm
yeah,
not saying that
Yes.
it's going to
yeah,
bring levels to where it needs to be, but it will help.
right,
So,
yeah.
And I
but
did just find a good supplement, a blood builder. I think it was called Hemoplex. That one has been, and I actually started to feel the difference using that one like almost immediately. So I'm like,
Mm,
it's really,
okay,
really good. Yeah.
okay, okay.
awesome,
Y-
awesome, awesome. But what I was going to ask is, do you feel now? Okay, I'm traveling. I'm going. I'm going places where I don't know if they're going to have what it is that I can eat. Do you think
mm.
that you would prepare or pack differently?
Yes, so if I'm driving, because that's what we did. We drove down here, so we
Mm-hmm.
did have a lot of things at first, but we didn't plan to stay at this long.
Right, right,
So
right.
so that's why, like, even the natural juices, like I had juices and things like that, and it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm not gonna make fresh juice from GMO.
Yeah,
It makes it's
Yeah.
pointless. So
right.
but yes, I said, you know what, next time I'm gonna definitely even plan for it just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't plan on staying this long. I knew a lot of things changed, but I didn't know it changed this much. Because
Mm-hmm.
even shopping, like they you don't get plastic bags here, so you know I'm just so used to just going in and just coming out. But now it's like, oh snap, I'm forgetting my reusable bag and I have to buy it.
Mm.
Oh my god, I have to put it in the cart, and then I'm just like, oh my god, like you know, so I'm just gonna have to have backup. Plan
That's
B.
real. That's real. A plan
Yeah.
B.
Right.
It reminds me of like when I was a flight attendant. I had to literally carry just in case, because you just never know if you're someplace where they don't have anything. And not that even what I was taking was super duper healthy, but it was
Mhm.
healthier than a lot of the cities and towns that we were in.
Mm.
So we are wrapping up on our episode. I was checking to see, I don't know, I don't see it on Facebook, so I will repost there. Thank you to those who have stuck around for this live broadcast. Shout out to those, big up to those who will be seeing this as a replay. And we ask that you like, subscribe, and share. If you think any of your family and friends would benefit from this information, we definitely invite all of those who are in need of a guide or assistance on their journey. We have some great things in store for everyone just to build upon our community. We are here for the long term. So, we're sticking and staying, and we would love for you to come along with us. So until next week, Friday, we say peace, love, and wholeness. Peace, y'all. And
Bye,
my
y'all.
Shantae voice. Peace, y'all.